right, on to the next section. This is lending options. So we're going to try to answer everything we can. Normally we bring a lender in to teach this section, but I will do my best. And the whole point of this is basically a lender is going to help you stop guessing about what's right for you or what's possible for you, and start really doing the work that's necessary to budget. First of all, I want to say that what I believe makes a great lender is not the rate. The rate is important, right? And it's definitely something you should take into consideration. But if you shop all the lenders from the cheapest to the most expensive, in the grand scheme of things, it's an insignificant amount of money compared to the amount of money that a good consultant, right, will earn you over a lifelong relationship. And that's exactly what you should be looking for, is a lifelong trusted consultant. Just like we try to be on the real estate end, they should be for your mortgage and lending options. So these are the things I think are really important. So a thorough pre-qualification. They should really be asking all the questions up front so there are no surprises later. Things like push button get mortgage, it's kind of dangerous in my opinion. I've seen it come back to burn people. They should verify everything. You can tell them everything you want, and they might be able to tell you everything they want about what they assume that, the price ranges that you should be shopping in and what's right for you, but they will not basically move forward with a pre-approval and back what they're assuming without seeing verification of your documentation. So kind of annoying, right? You got to get everything together, but the truth is you're going to have to get it together anyway. So you might as well do it once. And then as you speak to lenders, you have everything ready. And then you can feel really good, and they can feel really good about moving forward. And then this is kind of covered up by my face, but it says asking big picture questions. So I think that lenders should be asking things like, do you intend to keep this house and rent it out as you move up to your next home? Or do you want to sell? Do you have the intention to be a landlord and create passive income through owning real estate? I think those kind of questions are really important because it drives you to a different set of options that could be better for you to choose. So those are good questions. If the questions ever seem like they're just driving towards a single closing, like the closing of the home that you're thinking about purchasing now, I don't know. I would say that the bigger picture questions are those are the people that I think are going to be around for quite a long time. They should always have your best interest in mind. So they should be suggesting a comfortable price range, not telling you your maximum right away and that's where you should go shopping. Because quite frankly, I think if you work from your comfortable budget monthly backwards into the price, and then you go out into the marketplace at that price, you know what, if you need to, you could raise it because you have that freedom to do so. But you're going to have a better experience because you're not going to be disappointed. They should be seeking a lifelong relationship, not a quick commission. I think I mentioned that. And they should be honest, even when it's not something you want to hear. This is just like what we do here on the Impact team. It's, we consider ourselves just like a doctor, and you wouldn't want to go to a doctor and, have them not tell you if you had a terminal disease. You'd want them to tell you so you knew what your options were and how to deal with it. And then finally, educational. So that is right in line with that. Showing you many options, but helping you decide which one is right. So just like we kind of guide the process and you make all the decisions, it's the same thing with your lender. They can show you and suggest to you different paths to go down, and there should be, a few of them. And they should say the pros and the cons of each and then allow you to make that decision. And they should answer all your questions and even the ones you didn't think to ask. So those things are super important. Now the process is going to do, first of all, there's application and pre-approval. The first step is to apply. And during that process, like I said, at first they're going to ask you questions, and that will lead to a pre-qualification, which is the information that's been exchanged, and a pre-approval is really more where verification of those that information with supporting documentation has happened. But really, you want to get through that pre-qualification step first. I mean, honestly, sometimes even before you engage with a real estate agent in this way. I love it when people come to this consultation having done a pre-qualification, meaning that they know, after having spoken to their lender, exactly the price range they're looking for, what they can afford, what their means are. Because if they do that, then we can get started right away rather than having to delay while they go figure it out, especially if they've been running calculators on their own. And in your initial meeting, you should talk about what is your goal, what is your ideal home buying scenario, and what types of loans or options fit your needs. then how much can you afford is the big question you want to answer. Ultimately, you're the only one that can answer it, right? And it's all about that comfort level. I mean, most of my clients qualify for more than they thought they did. So it comes down to being, good with your money and starting lower than you can go as a maximum, if that makes sense. So that's it. All right, finally, your application. So this is actually formally applying for the loan. They're going to need your history. So they're going to need your history, your income, your assets, and your credit. And I'm just going to skip ahead straight to the documents that specifically will back those things up. So they're going to want your address for the past 2 years, your rent, landlord's name, address, asset documents, so bank statements, 401k, liquid assets, any sort of retirement account or investment account. The credit documents, make sure to mention any new accounts or debts that might not show up on your report as of right now. And then for your work documents, they're going to need, for W-2 employees, they're going to need the last 2 years of pay stubs or W-2s. For self-employed folks, they're going to need the last 2 years of tax returns, business and personal, and last quarter profit and loss statements. And there's a bunch of different loan types that you can actually use nowadays. There's more than what are on here, but that really comes down to 3 kind of main ones here. You got conventional, which is a conforming loan, and that's one of the best loan types to have because it gives you the most flexibility. The only thing that beats that is all cash. The loan size I think is actually a little bit higher than that, but you can put a minimum down payment on a conventional loan at 3%, and there are some grant programs that can even help to subsidize that amount. So you don't need 20% at all. In fact, sometimes you don't even need 3%. Now, conventional loans are the most sensitive to your credit score, so if your credit score is lower, then you might want to head towards something like an FHA loan, which allows for a 3.5% minimum down payment, but it is the most forgiving of credit standards. There's also, if you put less than 20% down on a conventional loan, you'll have to pay what's called private mortgage insurance. And with FHA, the private mortgage insurance is basically built in throughout the life of the loan. So you don't see it there, but it's also in there. So that loan, in order to get that loan, is a little bit more expensive. And VA is available to those that have served and are now veterans, and the minimum down payment on that is 0. So you can actually have a fully leveraged loan where you don't have to put anything down. You will still have closing costs, so you want to talk to your lender about what that is. We'll get into that in a slide here in a second. There's also no mortgage insurance on VA, and it usually has really, really good rates. So that's our country's way of saying thank you. Finally, this Home Ready, Home Possible Advantage. There are different so this is the part where my expertise kind of goes away, because these products change quite a bit, and if there are other products out there that suit your needs better than those top 3 that I just mentioned, your lender will let you know. And finally, there are grant programs too, so it's good just to ask, like, do I qualify for any grant programs? Because CHAFA, Home Ready, Metro Mortgage Assistance, I mean, they're all there, and they all serve different types of clients. Oftentimes there's income restrictions, so if you make enough money, you can't qualify to get their money, and sometimes the money needs to be paid back. So definitely ask about it, and then it's not always right for everybody. So the lender should do a good job of explaining what it is, who it benefits, whether or not it's benefit to you, and within the grand scheme of things. And finally, closing costs. This is super important. So these are costs, so money that you need to account for that is necessary in addition to your down payment to close the home. Most of these closing costs are unavoidable. Taxes, insurance, HOA, prorations, a lot of stuff with the lending. Like, a lot of this is the cost to get the loan. Your lender will go over specific closing costs with you in your consultation, and they should be able to tell you, like, here's what you need to budget for closing costs. They also can tell you that they might have the ability to cover your closing costs, which would be a subsidization of them by essentially wrapping them into the loan, which means you might pay a little bit more in your interest rate. However, your out-of-pocket expenses when you go to purchase the home would be lower. So both of those are other options that you can use in the grand scheme of things to really dial in exactly what's the best fit for you. Finally, there are real estate portions. of the closing costs, and I would consider those to be anything you pay for your home inspection. You are essentially going to pay a home inspector once you found a home that you really enjoy and get it under contract. Only after you get it under contract will you have to spend this money, but you're going to pay someone to go do their job and tell you the condition that home is in. Typically, I would say closing costs on a starter home are going to be around $5,000. So that's the addition to the down payment. And of that, I would say the inspection cost account for anywhere from $350 at a bare bones minimum to, I would say, $700 if you're going to go ahead and do some additional tests. You've got your limited visual inspection, and then you've got a sewer scope and a radon test and some other things. So that's a good way to kind of budget. And those inspection costs are your only sunk costs, meaning when you spend it, you're not going to get it back, even if you don't want that house. Yay!